Hello, everybody. My name is Angel. I'm an admissions and outreach counselor at Sacramento State University. Thank you for all the people that are watching at home, as well as the people who are here. Today, I'm going to give a presentation on Sacramento State University. I'm going to talk about the admissions, eligibility requirements. I'm going to talk about financial aid. I'm going to talk about just the majors themselves. So yeah, let's get started. Right, so here is my contact information. You can actually send me a quick email in case you have any questions or concerns. You guys can also send me your transcripts, whether it's from community college or high school, and I can conduct an evaluation to see if you are eligible for a CSU. So if you have any questions, concerns, here's my contact information. My major right now, I'm getting my master's in higher education. What I like about my campus, I do enjoy the campus itself. It's super huge. We're about 300 acres. Feels like you're walking down a forest. What I like about my job, I like that I can meet new and exciting students that are really enthusiastic about going to a CSU, especially Sacramento State. And they ask me very, very important questions like what kind of majors, financial aid, what kind of classes, what kind of clubs and organizations. So I really like to meet those students. My pro tips from me to you, make sure you ask questions. The number one reason students sometimes don't get accepted is because they don't know. They don't know that they weren't eligible. They don't know about financial aid. They don't know about the admissions requirements. They don't know certain deadlines. So I get those students all the time that they don't know what they need to do. So make sure you ask questions. 3 questions that I recommend all of you to ask your admissions counselors or any representative from a university. Number one, do they have my major? So if they don't have your major, there's no reason to apply. So number one question, make sure they have your major. Number two question, do I have to stay in the dorms the first year? Most CSUs have a requirement that first years have to stay in the university. And number three, do they offer financial aid? So the presentation you just saw talked a lot about financial aid. So make sure that they also offer financial aid at the institution you're attending. And finally, it's not just about applying. So even though students are accepted, they still have to follow an admissions procedure. If they don't follow the admissions procedure, the admissions process, essentially they are denied. So there's still a process after they apply. So those are my tips for me to you as of right now. Like I said, if you have any questions or concerns, you could definitely send me an email and I'll be able to help you out. I also speak Spanish. So if there's anybody out there who wants to send me an email in Spanish, I can respond to that as well. California's capital. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Sacramento has to offer. So Sacramento is the capital of California. It's basically the heart of California. Anything that California has to offer, we probably have it here in Sacramento. That's reflective both in the culture as well as the ethnicities. We're actually known to being one of the most diverse cities in the United States. So if you come down here, you'll see that diversity both in the food, in the culture, in the art. We're also 2 hours away from the ocean in San Francisco, as well as 2 hours away from the snow in Lake Tahoe. We also have the Golden One Center. So that's actually where we have our own ceremony. So if you graduate from Sacramento State, you're actually going to have your graduation ceremony held there. Any major artist you're interested in that comes through California is probably going to come through Sacramento as well, especially now that the COVID regulations are being lifted. If you have any interest in any major artists, they're probably going to be here. We also have the Sacramento Kings basketball games held here. We also have the Sac Republic soccer teams. Like I mentioned, we do have a lot of professional sports, arts, and cultures here in Sacramento. Like I mentioned, it offers a little bit of what California has to offer as a whole. Something that we like to promote at Sacramento State is our ratio from professor for students. So for every professor, there's an average of 24 students. This is important because we want to have availability for our students, both for our faculty as well as for our programs. So if students walk into a classroom, whether it's 100 or 200 students, right? The professor may not remember all the students, right? The professor may not even have office hours, but at Sacramento State, our average is so low that our faculty and staff has available office hours to help students, to answer questions about homework, about tests, about the class itself, as well as the major that they chose. So this is something that we like to promote to show students that probably the average classroom that they have right now, the average size that they have now, either at the community college or in high school, is probably going to be similar at Sacramento State University. The most that you're going to see in a classroom is going to be 100, and those are probably in the general ed classes, but most of the major classes are going to be less than 30 to 40 students. How to apply for college, right? So you apply online, calstate.edu/apply. For fall is between October 1st and December 15th, okay? So that's when you can apply for the fall semester. For fall, we take first-time freshmen, students coming from high school, and transfer students, students coming from the community college. For spring semester, we open up in the month of August, and only transfer students can apply for those, students coming from the community college. Requirements need to be completed for fall. This is a prior presentation. We haven't put up the new ones for the fall 2023. But usually all the requirements that are coming in for fall need to be done the spring prior. The one for spring need to be done the summer prior. So you have to meet the requirements by a certain time. So if you're a junior right now, you have until the second semester of your senior year to meet the requirements that I'll talk about in a bit, okay? So that's something that's very important. The biggest number of students of applicants is for the fall semester. First year requirements. So first year students are students that are coming from high school. What do we require from them? Number one, they have to graduate from high school. Okay, they have to graduate from high school. And we like to promote this mainly because they're students that like to focus on their A through G requirements and they don't focus on their high school requirements. Okay, so make sure you graduate from high school. Make sure you take your PE, which is not part of the A through Gs, right? And then the A through Gs are the college preparatory subjects each student needs to pass with a C or better in order to go to a CSU, which includes 2 years of history, 4 years of English, 3 years of math, where we recommend 4, 2 years of laboratory science, 2 years of language other than English, 1 year of visual performing arts, and 1 year of college prep elective. So a student coming from high school needs to complete these between his or her freshman year all the way to their senior year. Okay. So right now, if a student is a junior, right now is a very, very good time to see if they are meeting the requirements, if they are on track, and if they're not, how can they get back in track? What classes do they need to take their senior year? Okay, so these classes need to be completed between their first semester of their freshman year all the way to their second semester of their senior year. Okay, so on the application, you're probably going to put some classes in progress because you're applying in October. Okay, and that's something very important. When you're applying, you're going to put everything that you're taking in the fall, which is your first semester of your senior year, as well as everything you're going to take your second semester of your senior year. A lot of students miss this application. So make sure you put everything that you're going to take in the future. And then finally, they have to meet the admissions, qualifying admissions GPA. And there's 3 categories. Category number 1 is for local students. So Sac State has local students, has local high schools, okay? So those students need a 2.5 GPA. Students who are non-local, they need a 2.75 GPA. And then finally, out-of-state students need a 3.0. So basically what we do is we take your GPA, we times it to 1,000 and we get a score, okay? So students who are local, they need a 2,500, which again, it translates to a 2.5. Students who are non-local need a 2,750, which is a 2.75. And then finally, out-of-state students need a 3.0, which is a 3,000, okay? It's been announced a couple of days ago that the SATs and ACTs are permanently removed for admissions requirements for CSUs and UCs. This is something that happened because of COVID, but there were talks that they were going to remove it eventually. So students are no longer going to need to take the SATs or ACTs to go into a CSU. Now it's going to go based on their GPA. right? So again, going over the A through Gs, if you are a junior or a sophomore or freshman, right now is the perfect time to go and check your counselor, talk to your counselor, see if you're on track with the A through Gs. If you're not, how can you get on track? There's still time for you to do some of these requirements. If you're not sure, go ahead and send me an email with your unofficial transcript, and I can do an evaluation to see if you're eligible, if you're on track, if you still need anything, basically to put you on track to apply for a CSU. Again, the admissions index, the category 1, 2, and 3, like I mentioned, we take your GPA times 1,000. For category 1, you need a 2,500. For category 2, you need a 2,750. In category 3, out of state, you need a 3,000. Okay, so that's for Sac State. So a student who is going to Rio Linda High School, that student is local to Sac State, so they need a 2.5 GPA, 2,500. But a student who's going from the same high school, Rio Linda, who's trying to go to Chico, which is non-local, is going to need a 2,750. Okay. So some schools, basically the schools that are closest to the CSUs are local. The ones that are not are non-local. You could definitely ask your counselor to see if you're local or not, or you can send me an email and I'll let you know if you're local to Sacramento State University. So let's say you don't meet the requirements. Let's say you are a student who is local. Again, you're at Rio Linda High School or Grant Union, and you have a 2.45 GPA. You don't meet the eligibility index. What you should do, what you still need to do is apply. Make sure you apply first and foremost, even if you don't meet the admissions index. What we're going to look for is the multi-factor admissions criteria. We're going to see if you completed more than a minimum A through Gs, if you're low income background, if you're first generation college status, your work experience, your participation in college advocacy programs like AVID, extracurricular participation and leadership. And all of this is going to be found in the application. So even if you don't meet the requirements, I still recommend you to apply because we're going to be looking at these factors to see if you're eligible or not. So I still recommend you to apply even if you don't have the GPA. Hornet Launch, this is something that is new for first-time freshmen. So the Hornet Launch is a survey that we created for the students coming in from high school. Basically, we ask about their availability, if they're a morning person, if they're a night person, what majors they're interested in, and then we create their first semester at Sacramento State. It's composed between 14 and 60 units. It's a structured schedule set for the student. So not only do we look at the Hornet Launch, we also look at their high school grades in math, in English, if they did any college classes. The Hornet Launch is created for a timely degree completion in 4 years. Students need to do their ITE by May 1st, and then it's May 8th for the deadline. Okay, so right now, if you're a senior, this is something that should not be new to you. You guys should be doing this as the admissions process. For juniors, this is something that's going to come up. Transfer requirements. So this is for students that are coming from the community college. Okay, these are the requirements. You need to complete at least 60 semester units or 90 quarter units, have a qualifying GPA, which is a 2.0 or better, be in good academic standing the last semester at the last institution you attended, and complete the Golden Four, which is oral communication, written communication, critical thinking, and quantitative reasoning. You also need at least 30 units within the CSU GE lower division major coursework, which goes within those 60 units, right? So these are the requirements for transfer students, usually students who complete the requirements, usually complete them in 2 years, okay? And this is something that's very popular because now, like Layla just mentioned, there's the California Promise, where you could take 2 years at the community college for free, okay? So students can actually attend the community college for 2 years, complete these requirements, and then attend Sacramento State, right? That is something that is very, very popular. And I do recommend you to use it. Use your resources, and I'll talk about the resources as well in a bit. Some of the majors that we have at Sac State, Some of the unique majors that we only offer at Sac State are American Sign Language and Deaf Studies, Film Studies, Government Journalism, Nutrition Dietetics, Photography, Recreational Parks and Tourisms. Some impacted majors are business, criminal justice, graphic design, nursing, and psychology. What is impaction? This is something that you're going to hear a lot from the CSUs. Impaction basically means that there's not enough space for the students that are eligible to come into the department and the department has space for. So imagine I have a room with 100 students, 50 of them graduate and 100 more want to come in. I have to pick and choose the students that are more determined, more committed to take the classes, to pass the classes and graduate. So next time, instead of graduating 50, I graduate 75, right? So how do I do that? I look at their GPA. I look at their general education classes. I look if they finish their prereqs, okay? So that's something that some CSUs have. Some of them have impaction. Some of them are fully impacted. So you may have to apply for the university, but you may have to apply for the major as well. And it could be the case that you can get into the university, but if you don't get into the major, you may not get into the university, okay? Sac State allows the first-time freshman to come in with an interest in the major, meaning that you can come in as a first-time freshman with an interest in business and then apply for the department, which usually is by the second year, the sophomore year. So we allow students to come in and then apply for the programs. Transfer students, though, they apply for the university, but if they're interested in the impacted major, they may apply for that. They have to apply for that as well, okay? But we still allow them to come in with an interest in. And that's something that distinguishes Sac State to other CSUs. Some other CSUs may be fully impacted, okay? So make sure you look into impaction when you're applying for the CSUs. Is the clicker not working? Oh. All right, financial aid and scholarships. Layla just gave a wonderful presentation on FAFSA, which I do recommend students to apply for. Sacramento State does offer the FAFSA as well as the DREAM Act. The school code, FAFSA, a quick tip about FAFSA, make sure it ends on .gov. There's a lot of websites out there that replicate the FAFSA, mainly because they want to get your information, right? On FAFSA, you do put your social security, you do put your date of birth, you do put a lot of personal information. So if you are applying for FAFSA, make sure it ends on .gov. FAFSA is completely free. If they're charging you for FAFSA, you're on the wrong site, okay? FAFSA is completely free, as well as the DREAM Act. The school code for Sac State is 001150. So that's just the school code in case you want to send your FAFSA to Sac State. Layla did mention that you do have to send your information to the institutions that you wanted to apply for, okay? You only have to follow the FAFSA though to the CSU, UC, or community college that you really want to attend. So that's something to keep in mind. We did open our scholarships for our students, mainly because of COVID. We opened it between October 1st and March 15th. And I do recommend students to apply for scholarships. Not applying for scholarships is like seeing money outside your window you're too lazy to go get. So make sure you apply for them. They're completely free. The FAFSA and DREAM Act early deadline was March 2nd, but it was actually extended to April 1st. So right now you can still apply for FAFSA. You can still submit your application. So make sure you submit it. And then priority documentation submission is May 1st. What does this mean? This means that if you want to attend Sac State, that you're serious about going to Sacramento State, we may request information on your behalf, right? So Layla was talking about submitting documents. You may have to submit your parents' tax transcripts. You may have to submit your parents' W-2s. We want to make sure that the information you input on FAFSA was true. So we may have to ask for those documents. So we will need those by May 1st in order for you to get your FAFSA. All right, here we have the cost of attendance. And what we did is we broke it down between direct costs and indirect costs. And then we broke it down with living with parents, living on campus, and living off campus. Layla talked a little bit about this. She talked about how a first-year student may stay at the dorms. So for the direct costs, we added that $15,000, which is pretty expensive, right? This is for a year. So every price, you break it in half to consider a semester. So a semester at Sac State is probably going to be about $3,700, right? For a full year, it's 7,368. Those are your direct costs, which I also consider the costs for being in the dorms and being in class. So the cost for being inside the classroom. The indirect costs are the things that you pay outside of the classroom: books and supplies, food and housing, transportational, personal items, right? So the indirect costs, what we did as well is we try to find the most expensive items you could get. So we looked for the most expensive books and supplies, food and housing, the most expensive apartment you can get off campus, the if you're traveling from far away based on the gas prices, personal, if you buy a brand new laptop, brand new backpack every single year. Okay. So this is something that shows you how much you're going to pay at most, how much you're going to pay if you buy everything brand new every single year, if you stay at the dorms, if you pay full tuition. This shows you exactly how much you're going to pay at most. But it really depends on the student resources, whether they're going to pay the most or not, right? So if a student applies for FAFSA and they get the tuition, they're not going to have to worry about the tuition fee. Okay. So if a student applies for scholarships, if a student has a part-time job, if a student rents their books instead of buying them, that number that's close to 2,000 is going to change dramatically. So it really depends on the student resources, whether they're going to pay this full price at the bottom or not. So that's why we do these workshops to help the parents, to help the students find the resources, apply for the Cal Grant, apply for FAFSA, make sure you use your resources. That way you don't have to pay all this money at the end of the year. And this is a year. So make sure you use your resources. And there's examples for everything. Books and supplies, if you rent them from Amazon, if you buy them, if you rent them, food and housing, if you get an apartment with 6 of your friends, you're not going to pay $1,000 a month. If you're nice to your parents, you take out the trash and make your bed, they're not going to charge you rent. If you carpool, if you use your same laptop, same backpack every single year, this is something that's going to change dramatically. Ways to be involved. Another advice that I give to you, besides the one that I gave you at the beginning, is make sure you get involved at the campus or university you're going to go to. The more you're integrated within this campus, the more you're going to feel at home, the more you're going to feel welcome, the safer you're going to feel. And that's also going to reflect on your grades. So go out there and do something outside of the classroom. I like to tell students that a bachelor's degree is composed of what you do inside of the classroom and what you do outside of the classroom. So a student could go ahead and get straight A's, right? They could get straight A's, 4.0. They could get their bachelor's in, criminal justice, right? But when they go to apply for a job, they're going to look at their resume. They're going to see what they did while they were getting their bachelor's degree. So if a student goes to school, school home, doesn't get involved, their resume is probably going to be empty, right? So if a student actually goes to, the university, goes to class, but probably joins the ROTC program or gets an internship or joins a club that's focused on being in the police academy or joins an organization or joins Greek life, they're going to build that resume. Eventually, they will get their bachelor's degree, but they're going to have a resume full of experience, right? So I like to tell students, get involved inside of the classroom, but also get involved outside of the classroom. That way you build that resume. You actually have some experience. And at Sac State, we have over 300 clubs and organizations, including Greek life. Okay. Some examples of the clubs and organizations: we have the puppy club. They bring puppies to university. You can pet them before you go take a final. They have the Netflix club. They have the My Little Pony club. I don't know what that's about, but we have it. We have the snowboarding club, the soccer club, the flag football club, the rugby club. We have Greek life. We have the rock climbing. We have the Spanish club, the Italian club, the German club, the French club. Actually, the German club goes to Germany probably once a year, before COVID, of course. So we have a little of everything at Sacramento State University. And the clubs and organizations, as you know, some of them are a bit far off, are created by the students based off their hobbies. Okay. Something that students love to do is sleep. So they started the hammock club because we have a lot of trees. So there's a club that literally hangs hammocks and they sleep. That is a club. Okay. So definitely get involved somehow, do something outside of the classroom, wherever you go, whichever campus you go to, there's something going on. Make sure you get involved and build that experience. Okay. Not only for the experience, but the more you're connected to the university, the more it's going to reflect on your grades. You're going to feel at ease. You're going to feel like you're welcome, like you're part of something. So make sure you be part of the campus life. We have student support services. These are services to help you outside of the classroom. We have the Well, which is the indoor gym. We have indoor rock climbing, indoor soccer, indoor basketball, weightlifting. The MMA club gets there, the yoga club, the Zumba dance. And this is free for all Sac State students. We have the MLK Center, the College Assistance Migrant Program, which helps students their first year at Sacramento State if they are part of if they were part of the migrant program or if their parents worked in agriculture for the past 2 years. Sacramento State veterans. So if you are a dependent of, or if you served our country, you can definitely. Oh.
There's one question about students who have special needs. What kind of services or resources are there for students with special needs?
Yes, good question. So we do have the students services for students with disabilities. That is part of Sacramento State. As a matter of fact, every institution should have a department that serves students with disabilities. So we do have one at Sacramento State University. The student needs to do an application form, maybe submit some documents, and they do get the accommodations that they need based on the disability. So we do have that at Sacramento State. We also have the GMO Resource Center, which is a program that helps students with mixed status or if they themselves are mixed status. So basically they may not have a social security or their parents may not have a social security. The good thing about the GMO Resource Center is that it helps you without being a student. So you can definitely go right now. Well, not right now because they closed, but you can go during the business day and see if they can help you. You don't have to be a student. They offer services for all the participants. So that's something that distinguishes the DRC to other CSUs. We also have the park, which is for tutoring, and we have it for basically every subject at Sacramento State University. So again, these are programs to help students outside of the classroom. We understand that students are not just students, they are individuals with obstacles, with problems, and we have programs designated to help them overcome those obstacles or to aid them somehow. We do have Division I sports at Sacramento State. We have over 500 NCAA Division I athletes. We have 57 conference titles in the last 11 years. We were football champions for the Big Sky Conference back in 2019. Now, if you don't play the sport, you could definitely go to all the home games with your one card. Now, if you do come in as an athlete, your admissions process is different. You do have to go through the athletic department to come in as an athlete, and their admissions requirements are different, right? But I still recommend students to work on their admissions requirements as a regular student. That way they have a backup. We do offer university housing. We actually expanded our housing at Sacramento State University. This is an application process. It is first come, first serve. We do have some sort of condition for first-time freshmen, and then we move on for sophomore, then junior, then senior. Like Layla just mentioned, usually students stay at the dorms their first year, and then they move out their second, third, and fourth. But we do have halls for students for them to stay in, either co-ed, and we do have, little gyms. We do have pools. You can definitely participate in some of the activities that they have in there as well. And that's the reason that we charge so much. We basically give you everything that you get at home, from Wi-Fi, laundry facilities. You get 3 meals a day. There's meal plans as well. So that's why we charge so much for housing, because you get everything at your disposal, right? You don't have to worry about, rent or paying the electricity. you have everything at hand. We do have an app in case you're serious about coming to Sacramento State. You can check your to-do list, use your financial aid info, sign up for orientation. We do have a campus map. We are a huge university, so make sure you download that app and get the campus map. That way you don't get lost. You can find campus events, parking availability. More thing about the app, if you are serious, if you are an applicant already, download it. If you're gonna be an applicant, definitely download it. That way you have everything at your fingertips. This is especially for students who already applied and were already admitted, okay? Like I mentioned, we still keep sending you information or maybe notifications of things that we still need. This is a wonderful way to get connected, especially through your, where is it? The student center is offered on here. You can go in it. That's where we're gonna let you know if we require anything for admissions or financial aid. You can also connect with admissions. Here is our phone number, 916-278-1000, option number 1. Monday through Friday, we're open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're also open on Saturdays for campus tours. So if you want to, and they are in person, okay? So if you do want to do a campus tour and you do want to come to Sac State, definitely come. We are open on Saturdays as well. We're located in Lassen Hall, first floor, room 1102. But now we're also at the Welcome Center, which is where you check in for the tour. You can scan our QR code so you can get on our database, so you can get more information on Sac State. We are on Sac State admissions on Facebook and Instagram. Again, recommend students who do or are applying for Sac State to follow us on our platforms. We send reminders, we send important information, events that are coming up. So definitely go ahead and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.